Hi, I'm Jerry Ford and welcome to my studio. Welcome to February 2024's edition of the Mug Rug of the Month Club. So if you would like this design and you're not a member of the club, send me an email request and I'll be happy to send you the instructions as well as the design. Or if you'd like to become a member of this free club, then also send me an email request saying, hey, add me to the list. Okay, so you're going to need a few things for this. This can be done with any design. This number one is not part of the design. It's something that I added later, but you could put anything you like in there. This can be done with scraps, and you don't need a whole lot. You're going to need a 5x7 hoop, and I used a tearaway stabilizer with it. You can use a cutaway, a thin cutaway if you like. I prefer a tearaway. Okay, you need a piece of batting about 5.5 by 7.5 inches wide. I used cotton batting, but you could also use Insulbright, which will stand up to more heat. You need a background fabric, which is like this pink, but you could do it any color you like. And you want one piece that's 5.5 by 7.5 inches. You're also going to need two more pieces for the backing. Make these 7.5 by 7.5 inches and they'll be folded in half. And of course, you have two parts to that. Okay, you also need an accent fabric for the center heart. I chose this, but you could pick any pretty print that you like. And you can even center it in the middle of the heart design. You're going to need about maybe a 4.5 by 4.5 inch piece of applique fabric. Okay, the threads that I chose a light colored thread to match my background fabric for the cross hatching quilting here, and I chose red. Now, you could put a design in here. You could put this number one. You can use metallic thread. You could use another design. You can put other text in the middle, and I'll show you how to do that later. It helps to have a good pair of sharp, curved embroidery scissors in order to trim away the excess out of the batting and your fabrics and your applique. These I recommend highly. I'm not sure who made these. This one is by Ginger. And of course, this one gets nice and close, so I like this one too. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is just go ahead and hoop your stabilizer only and load your design onto the machine. Okay, so for this, I am going to go ahead and stitch out this design. So I've loaded the design into my machine, and it's basically two appliques, one on top of the other. And I'm going to hit set and embroidery. And we're going to stitch this first embroidery. I'm going to use black so that it will give me the outline. I stitched it in just the black so that you could see what it looks like. Now once I've stitched this out, okay, I'm going to put a piece of batting on top so that it covers all of the lines. And remember, I've just used a tearaway, but you can use whatever stabilizer you like. And this is a great thing to use up some scraps of batting. Okay, so now I've put the batting down. Now I've changed to white. I had black on there before, but that's going to show through if I use a light colored fabric. So now I've changed to a white colored thread. And so now I'm going to tack down the batting. Okay, now I'm going to trim away all this excess batting away from the outside stitching, simply because we're going to turn this, and I don't want this batting in the seam line to bulk up your seams. So we're going to go ahead and cut it. And I like to use a curved pair of scissors, embroidery scissors. So let me pull this out a little bit. And I'm going to trim it pretty close. Okay, so okay. I'm going to return the hoop to the machine, and I'm going to place the other fabric on top of it. For the second tack down, we're going to I put pink thread in the needle. I want to put my 7.5 by 6.5 inch piece of fabric down so that it's covering all of the stitching and leaving a 1/2 inch space for the seam allowance. Okay, now it's stitching the outside. Okay, the next color it's going to do is the cross hatching, which is going to quilt down the background. Okay, this is going to take about 4 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and finish stitching this off camera. Okay, finished the cross hatching. So the next stitch it's going to do is a placement for the inner heart. So I've changed to red thread, and I'll be using red thread for the next few stitches. But you can use any color you like. Now, do you want to use a pretty print fabric? And I'm going to be using this one so that it covers all of the stitching. You could get a pretty heart fabric or something that you want to center. Then you would try to center that whatever motif in the middle of the heart. But I'm just going to use this for now. But you can use what you like. And I'm going to stitch number 5 so that it'll tack down this print piece of fabric. You should be able to see it, it's red. I'm going to just remove the hoop from the frame, or the hoop from the machine, but I'm going to leave the fabric in the hoop. And I'm going to trim around real close this time. And just trim out this outside. Now this part here, see right there where it sticks out? I want to be able to get to that, but sometimes it helps to take your finger, put it underneath, and that way you can push up while you're pushing down hard to get those little corners off. Put the hoop back into the machine, and you can use whatever color thread. I'm going to use red again. Okay, I'm going to use red. The first one's just going to do this outside scallop stitch. If you want to make your outside satin stitch 2 different colors, you can. I'm going to leave mine the same, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch the tack. This is not the tack down. This is called the sealing in stitch, which is just a decorative stitch that goes around. This is going to take about another 4 minutes, so I will let it stitch on its own, and I'll be back when it's done. Okay, it finished stitching the outer rickrack looking thing. And so now it's going to do one more, which is a satin stitch in the center. You can change the color if you like. I'm going to leave it on red and let it just do a satin stitch all the way around. And that'll help seal that inside really well. Okay, I'll be back when that is done stitching. Okay, it's finished here. So you could just go ahead and finish this, but say now at this point, I think, you know, I'd like some lettering in here, a monogram or another design. Well, you certainly can do that. I'm going to go back to 0. Okay, and I'm going to return. And all I have is the last color stop anyway, so I'm going to hit add. Okay, I'm going to add some lettering. So I want to pick lettering. Pick the style of lettering that you like. I think I'll just put the regular ABC here. And I'm going to, let's just experiment here. You're going to have to rotate them, that's not a problem, but I want to put like number 1. That's all I'm going to put on it. But you can put anything you like. So I want to go to my, yes, I have that. Okay, that'll work. Space, this underline is a space, and a 1. Okay, set. Okay, no, I'm going to delete that. Delete. So start it again. So I'm going to add the lettering here, and I want to use the number and 1. That's all. Leave it like that. Set. Might be a little big, so I'm going to hit edit and size it down just a little bit. And I want to rotate it, so I hit the rotate and rotate it 90 degrees. Yep, I like that. I could space it out some if I like, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Go back to embroidery. Okay, I'm going to use my plus or minus key to advance to the last stitch. So I think I can just go backwards. Yep, it's right there. A silver metallic would look good there. Okay, I've switched to metallic thread, and I have advanced forward until I'm just going to be stitching the number 1 part, or the lettering. 4 good practices for success using metallic thread, because it can be a problem. 1, you want to use a good quality thread. Leave the cheap thread alone. If you're spending less than $12 for a spool of metallic thread, leave it alone. You're asking for trouble. So you want to pick a good quality. Most of the brand names, the big names like Madeira, I like to use Robus and Anton is good. Sulky is good as long as you're picking the big spools that are big like this, not the skinny little ones. Those have problems because metallic thread pigtails too much, gives you a little curly cue too much, because metallic thread has a memory. 2, you want to use a metallic needle or a top stitch size 14 needle. And why? Metallic needle, the eye is a little bit bigger, and the eye is coated in Teflon to reduce any friction, and that way it gives you a better stitch. A 14 top stitch needle has an even bigger eye and a deeper groove going down the middle of the needle and gives you a little bit better stitch. The other thing is slow down your machine to its lowest setting. So I do that on this machine, as on most of them. It's in my settings pages. So I will slow down to 350. And the 4th thing is you want to reduce your tension. So here's my tension. Normal tension is 4.0 for metallic thread. Bring that down to at least 3.0 for this machine. 3.2 seems to work well. You may be prepared to go lower. Okay, and you also want to make sure that the thread comes off without being stretched at all. So if that means using a vertical spool pin so that it comes off, or horizontal so that it goes off this way rather than pulls this way, you'll get a better stitch, because then you don't get any stretching. Okay, so let's go ahead and stitch this. This is going to take a little while, so I will come back when it's done stitching. So you can see it's coming off without any problems whatsoever. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, it's stitched really well with no problems at all, so it turned out pretty good. So now we need to return our machine back to normal. So I'm going to go back to my settings. Change this back to normal, 4.0. I want to return my speed, so I'm hitting my settings page, which is up here. Changing my speed back to 600 or 700. I don't like to stitch much faster than 700 stitches per minute. Even though my machine stitches much faster, you just get a better stitch out if you go at a lower speed. You have a lot less problems. Okay, so I've changed that back to regular. Okay, I've returned the needle back to a regular embroidery needle, and I have put pink thread into my needle. I'm still leaving the same bobbin thread. you're going to take your 2 pieces of fabric that you had before, which are the 7.5 by 7.5 inch square. Okay, and then you're going to, oh, let's see, I think I want this to come from the top. So you're going to overlap the edges by at least 1/4 inch. So you want to make sure you have it covering all of the stitching. And then, let's see, and this will be up underneath. Again, cover that side with all of the stitching. Now you can tape down your edges, although, you know, I'm way too lazy to do that. Now go back to the plus or minus page, because I'm back at the beginning, so I have to go to plus or minus, and I want to advance until it does this outer stitch, which is going to be color stop number 8. Okay, so I'm going to go forward until I have number 8. Okay, there's number 8. My problems is that if you don't tape it down, then you might end up flipping this over like that, and you end up having to take it out, or you could have a rip, who knows. So I'm going to avoid that. You could tape it down. Now the problem with that is that doesn't always work real well. Sometimes it'll still catch anyway. And the other thing is that you have to then remove that tape, and I don't want to do that. I'm lazy. Okay, so I'm going to stitch until I'm not sure which way it's going to go. So I'm going to stay close, and I'm just going to hold it down. You could use like one of those spatula mermaid tools in order to hold it down, but I'm just going to live dangerously. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Okay, it's going that way. I'm just going to hold it down. It's not going anywhere, so I'm fine. And it's, okay, stop just before you approach. Then you're going to hold this start button in to walk it over top of that seam. When you're sure it has cleared the seam, you can just let go and it'll go on to its regular speed. Still good. Okay, as it approaches this, I'm going to stop it. Stop. I'm going to now, again, hold in the button so it goes really slow, and that way I can now hold it down safely. Okay, and then it's doing a bean stitch, so it's going back and forth. Okay, now I can finish it up. These overlap by about 2 inches, so that's fine. Okay. All right, we're finished. So now I'm going to remove the hoop from the frame and take the fabric out of the hoop. I'm going to pull away the excess tear away, because that's what I've used. If you have used a cutaway, that's fine, just leave it. I'm just tearing it away. Always pull towards your embroidery, not away from it. That way you won't pull out stitches. Okay, I'm going to trim this 1/4 inch away from the edges. I want to clip across the point, and the inside I want to clip here. Don't cut through your stitching. You can either clip your curves, but I'm going to cheat and use my pinking shears. You need sharpening badly. You just want to make sure that you don't want to clip through the stitching. Now what happens if you clip your stitching? Just go to a sewing machine, just sew it in another 1/8 inch in, and you'll be fine. Okay, I need to get those sharpened. Okay, then we'll turn this right side out. Use your point turner. I overlapped it a little bit much. You really only have to overlap the back sections about an inch. I did a little bit too much. Okay, I don't like putting the overlap this way because that puts extra bulk at these 2 points that makes it hard to turn. Okay, and it's all done. So now I'm ready to give it a good press and it'll make a perfect gift. And here it is pressed, turned and pressed. If you like, you can put a little piece of fusible web inside here to seal it down, or you could hand stitch it, or you could just leave it. It's not going to come apart. So we're good to go here. All right, if you would like a copy of this design, or if you would like to become a member of our Mug Rug of the Month Club, where I send you a new design the first of every month, then send me an email request at waltzquilt@yahoo.com, and I will be happy to send you this design, the written instructions, and if you like, add you to the list so you'll automatically get next month's design. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And you can always email your pictures. I always love to see them. So until next time, bye.